Weird case of a Chinese woman arrested with malware on the grounds of Mar-a-Lago. She was trying to gain access to an event while she was there. She is in custody. We're going to bring you the latest developments on that in just a few moments. But first, the president punching back at his adversaries on Capitol Hill.
I guarantee you they go into a room between Nadler, Schiff, and the group, and they laugh like hell at how they've kept this thing going for 2 years.
Tonight, the clock is ticking on the deadline to turn over the Mueller report, and there's going to be a vote tomorrow to force its release. Good evening, everybody. I'm Martha MacCallum, and this is the story tonight. Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler is leading that charge. But look at this. Here he is when there were similar requests made to release all the documents in the Lewinsky-Clinton case.
It's grand jury material. It represents statements which may or may not be true by various witnesses, salacious material, all kinds of material that it would be unfair to release.
Now, those documents ultimately came out, and there was a lot of back and forth and tension over that. So will these subpoenas work? Here's the judge.
There are some things in there that the Attorney General under the law cannot legally release. And that's called, you're going to hear this all over the place in the next 3 weeks, 6E. What is 6E? 6E is a section of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, which basically says if the government has materials about a person who's not being charged, it can't release them.
A lot of people would fall into that category. In moments, Republican Congressman John Ratcliffe, but first Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell joins us once again. He's demanding the unredacted Mueller report. Of course, he sits on the House Judiciary and Intelligence Committees. This is Jim Comey, the former FBI director, talking this afternoon on CNN about the release of the report and the timing of the whole thing. Watch this.
Bill Barr, our Attorney General, deserves the benefit of the doubt. Give him a chance to show us what he feels like he can't show us. I have to imagine that former Director Mueller wrote the report with an eye towards it being public someday, so I can't imagine a lot needs to be cut out of it. But let's wait and see. The Attorney General deserves that chance.
Do you agree with that?
Well, we want to make sure we see the full report as soon as possible. We're going to authorize subpoenas but not issue the subpoena. But Congress voted just a month ago 420-0 in a bipartisan fashion for us to see the full report. Also, the public paid for this investigation. They should see the full report. And the person who believes that he is fully exonerated should fully welcome us seeing the report.
I think, the president has said he wants to see the full report. I think pretty much everybody has said. But I think that the full report definition is different for different people. Based on the grand jury testimony and some of the parts of the report that might reflect on people who do not have any. There's no reason for them to be sort of put out there publicly by this report. So do you agree with those exemptions?
Yes, if there's no reason for the public to know about someone's cooperation, I agree. But what I don't agree is that the grand jury information should shield important, relevant witnesses from having their information out there.
And who are they? Tell me what would you be disappointed not to get? Who do you want to read more about in terms of the background documents that I know you want?
Every person who met with the Russians at the Trump Tower meeting, every person involved in the Trump Tower Moscow negotiations, any person who knew about the WikiLeaks effort to hack and release the Hillary Clinton emails, and any person who knew about the actions the administration has taken to benefit the Russians.
That's what I thought. So, even though it appears that there was no collusion, according to the summary of the principal conclusions that we got from Mr. Barr, you still think that that's valid ground? Because in the letter he said, it's obvious that there was outreach, but there was no conspiracy and there was no coordination, but that's not enough for you.
No, because that relates to a criminal matter, not national security, counterintelligence matters. We have a responsibility. If we're going to protect the ballot box in 2020 from another attack, the public should know and the nation's leaders should know who worked with the Russians, what the government response was,
the
and whether it
report
was
says
adequate.
that they didn't work with the Russians. That's the point that I'm making.
Well, no, the report, the Barr opinion letter said that it didn't reach the standard of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Without seeing the full report, I don't know if that's the case or not. But I want relevant information out out there for the public. I believe that if there is confidential, personal identifying information about people who had nothing to do with this, we should protect their privacy. We can do that. But first, Congress should see the full report and then make that decision.
So, but then, you know, in the same breath, I know you spoke with Neil Cavuto, and you said you don't have to have the Mueller report to see all the president did do. So do you want the report, and do you need the report? Or is the report going to come out, and if it doesn't have the things that you're hoping for, you're going to say, oh, that doesn't matter anyway, because I already know that there was, you know, a lot of egregious behavior here?
Well, there is what we've already seen in public, and we can't, you know, wash that away because the president wasn't criminally indicted. But I imagine that there will be additional information that will guide us as we seek to protect the ballot box. And so I will accept every word, every period, every comma if I'm able to see it. But I'm not going to accept that I can't see it and that the president
And are you
is
okay with him taking the time that he needs? He said, you know, for like 15 days from now or less. So why, I don't know why there's this tomorrow date. It sounds like you're not going to issue subpoenas tomorrow, correct?
We're going to authorize subpoenas tomorrow. We're going to continue to work with them, but the public should see a report that it paid for, and we should know as our nation's leaders what we can do to protect our democracy.
Let me ask you a quick 2020 question before I let you go, because there was a report that you were quoted as having said at an event in San Francisco, don't tell anybody, but I'm announcing in 2 weeks. So are you announcing for the presidency in 2 weeks to run?
I did not say that, but I will tell you, I've made a decision. I will announce it soon. And the reason I care so much about what the Russians did is because they didn't do it just to benefit themselves from a transactional relationship with the president. They did it to tear down the idea of America, that no matter who you are, where you're from, what you worship, who you love, you can be anything. And if that can be true in America, it could be true in Russia. They don't want it in Russia. I want to protect it still here in America.
Listen, I think you're going to do well on that, because I think everybody's on the same page. Nobody wants the Russians to be able to influence our election or, you know, to influence anything. And, you know, one of the people who worked at the CIA for 30 years said that the dossier looked like a classic Kremlin disinformation campaign. So I hope you're going to pursue that side of it when you get all the documents as well.
Free markets, free ideas, and a freedom to dream. The Russians don't want us to have that. I want to protect that. I benefited from that.
Okay. So do you want to know if the dossier was a classic Kremlin disinformation campaign?
Of course.
So you'll be digging into that when you get these documents as well, because a lot may come out when all of this comes out that will be of interest to, I think, a lot of people on all sides.
Absolutely, Martha.
All right, Congressman, thank you very much.
My
Good
pleasure.
to see you tonight.
Thank you. You too.
So here to respond, Republican Congressman John Ratcliffe of Texas. He also sits on the House Judiciary and Intelligence Committee. So your colleague, you just heard your colleague. What's your reaction to what he had to say there?
Hi, Martha. Good to be with you. Well, I'm still trying to figure out what's worse. Last week, I heard Adam Schiff, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, demand that Bill Barr release the full report without redactions for classified national security information. This week, I'm hearing the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Gerald Nadler, demand that Bill Barr again violate the law with regard to 6E information and other information. It's the theater of the absurd. Bill Barr isn't going to comply with the Democrats' deadline because he can't comply with it, because he'd have to violate the law. He'd have to commit crimes to do that. What he is complying with is the law as it's written. He is complying with the special counsel regulation. He's fully complied with it already, and now he's going to go further and provide more information than the law requires.
I thought, you know, a couple of things were interesting in what Congressman Swalwell said. He refers to the Barr letter as the Barr opinion letter. That was not my takeaway when I read it. It didn't seem like there was a lot of opinion in there. It seemed as if he was summarizing the principal conclusions. He said it's still a work in progress. They were still going through everything. And he laid out the conclusions as, I would imagine, as Robert Mueller did in the report. Do you think there's concern? Are you concerned that when the rest of this report does come out, which I believe it will, that there's going to be a lot of daylight between these two takes?
I'm not concerned about that at all, because Bill Barr is not going to bet his 40-year legal career on misinforming the public. Bill Barr followed the regulation to a T, a regulation for the special counsel that, ironically, Jerry Nadler supported after the Starr investigation. Jerry Nadler was one of the ones that wanted the independent counsel statute to expire and to be replaced with this special counsel regulation, which again, Bill Barr has complied with completely and now intends to do more.
So do you want the report as much as possible to come out? Or do you support that? Do you want everyone to see what they paid for?
Well, that's a false argument about what they paid for. The American people pay for every bit of classified information that we have in this country. They don't get to see all of it. There are reasons that we protect classified information. There are reasons that we protect grand jury information.
But there's certainly a lot of public interest in this matter because people have been hearing about it for 2 years. And I think they would like to see, to the greatest extent possible, what all that was about.
And I would too. To that point, that's what Bill Barr promised. And as you pointed out, Martha, that's what he's doing. He's providing everything as quickly as possible with the only redactions, the things that the law says he cannot provide to the American people. And if he could provide them, he probably would.
You know, I just want to get your thought on one more thing, because it's clear that what Congressman Swalwell and others want. They want to see all the grand jury testimony with regard to Donald Trump Jr., anybody else who was in that room, as he just said. What does that tell you about where they're still going with this politically?
It tells me that it's politically motivated. They have no good faith basis to ask for that information. The law does not allow for it. The Department of Justice does not ever provide that information. They want it for political gain. They have been promising information on collusion between Donald Trump and the Russians. Bob Mueller's conclusions, as summarized by Bill Barr, reflect that that didn't take place. That should be the end of these investigations. To the extent they want to continue them, they're underscoring, Martha, that they're simply politically motivated, that they are trying to get information that they think will be helpful to prevent Donald Trump from being reelected in 2020. That's what this is about.
All right, Congressman, thank you very much. Congressman John Radcliffe, good to see you tonight. Thank you, sir.
You bet, Martha. Thanks.
We are waiting for President Trump. He's going to address the National Republican Congressional Committee in Washington tonight, so we will dip into that in a little bit. Plus, the trouble could be just getting started for those who started the whole Russian collusion investigation. Victor Davis Hanson has written an extensive piece on where he thinks all this goes now. He's next.
I thought that's potentially obstruction of justice, and I hope somebody is going to look at that.
Over 100 extra music channels are now online and on the app. Sample some of them this week on your satellite radio. Listen to decades of music with 70s, 80s, 90s. Cool down to mellow beats with chill hop. And right now, get grilling with classic rock barbecue. Explore Sirius XM's extra channels all month long on Spotlight Channel 4.
Trust is earned, not given. And when it comes to your tools, it's all about trust. That's why hardworking hands trust Mechanics Wear work gloves. Our genuine leather gloves built with Durahide provide extreme abrasion resistance, so you can tackle your endless to-do list. When the work is hands-on, know who to trust. Mechanics Wear, the tool that fits like a glove. Pick up a pair of Mechanics Wear leather work gloves at Lowe's, O'Reilly Auto Parts, or online at mechanics.com.
If you own a pair of Skechers, this ad is not for you. Because you already know that Skechers are the most comfortable shoes on the planet. Clearly, you get it. This commercial is for those who have never tried Skechers. It's aimed at the few among us who have never experienced the otherworldly comfort of Skechers air-cooled memory foam, never floated across the ground on comfort pods, or known the warm embrace of Skechers seamless knits. If you've never slipped into the bliss of relaxed or wide-fit shoes, or took a step on air-cooled Goga Matte insoles, or ran a mile in our award-winning running shoes. If you've never even tried a pair of Skechers, you're missing out. That's like never trying bacon, or never petting a puppy. To us, it's inconceivable. So we made this ad for you, in hopes of showing you the light. Try a pair of Skechers today. Skechers. Live comfortably. Visit a Skechers store near you, or wherever stylish shoes are sold, and find your perfect fit.
Hi, I'm Eric Casabieri, founder of Retro Fitness. 20 years ago, As a 22-year-old fitness fanatic, I was consistently disappointed by the quality, cost, cleanliness, and attitude of the local gyms. Fed up, I decided to launch my own gym with what many in the industry said was a crazy idea: create the high-end gym experience I wanted for a price everyone could afford. The great news is America agreed. From Retro's humble beginnings, we've grown to almost 150 Retro fitness franchises across the country, hundreds of thousands of Retro members, and have even been featured on the hit show Undercover Boss. Today, our top franchises average more than 6,000 members, with annual club sales of almost $2.2 million and an EBITDA of over $650,000, making ownership of a Retro fitness franchise a very powerful investment if you're looking to expand or diversify your current portfolio. While growth is rapid, ownership opportunities are available nationwide. If you'd like to learn more about Retro fitness and franchise ownership, go to ownaretro.com. That's ownaretro.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Franchise offer made by prospectus only.
There are two types of air travelers in the world today: those that travel carry-on only and those that wish they could. Hi, Jeff Harold, owner of Club Glove, the #1 luggage in professional golf. Whether you travel with one piece of luggage or 5 pieces, Club Glove's TRS Ballistic will allow you to transport all of your gear with only one hand. Yes, one hand. The TRS stands for Train Reaction System. I'll be the first to tell you that this patented American-made luggage is not inexpensive. However, over time, it will actually save you money by allowing you to manage all of your personal belongings on your own for decades of travel. No more handing out cash for everyone that helps you reposition your luggage, and never again will you ever need an airport card. Think about that. Go to trsballistic.com and use the code USA to get 20% off this incredible American-made luggage. Again, that's trsballistic.com and the code USA to experience the new standard in American-made luggage.
The biggest names in cable news are right here on Fox News Channel, Sirius XM Channel 114, Fox News Channel.
We are awaiting President Trump. He's on his way to the National Building Museum in Washington, D.C. That's where he will address the National Republican Congressional Committee tonight and at their dinner. So there's new fallout. Is the background tonight from the special counsel Russia's investigation. My next guest argues in a new op-ed that he believes the tables are starting to turn on this story. And the cast of characters who were the most vocal during the investigation into President Trump are things like lying, leaking, foreign collusion, obstruction of justice, conflicts of interest, could soon be facing troubles of their own. Victor Davis Hanson writes that now that Robert Mueller's 674-day, $30 million investigation is over and has failed to find the original goal of its mandate, and now that thousands of once sealed government documents will likely be released in unredacted form, those who eagerly assumed the role of the hunters may become the hunted due to their own zealous violation of the nation's trust and its laws. Here now, Victor Davis Hanson, senior fellow at the Hoover Institution and author of The Case for Trump. Victor, good to see you tonight. Thank you for coming back in and joining us on the story. So talk to me a little bit about who the hunters are, who you believe will now be hunted, and what will be used, what material will they have access to do that?
Well, I think we all thought that this 674-day odyssey, $30 million was going to be the holy grail that led to impeachment. So if the James Comey or Andrew McCabe wrote memoirs, or they testified under oath to various committees, or James Clapper and John Brennan were media analysts and they testified, that would be irrelevant because Trump was going to be impeached. But what they didn't quite, in ironic fashion, realize, they were having there's going to be a paper trail of things they did during the 2016 election that will come out through released documents, and their own testimonies are not going to be reconcilable. But what I mean by that, Martha, is that 3 or 4 people signed those FISA warrants, and they did not tell a judge that their evidence was based on the Steele dossier. I don't think all 4 of them, Rod Rosenstein, Sally Yates, Andrew McCabe, or James Comey, are going to have the same story about who was culpable of that. And they're going to be leveraged for testimonies that are self-serving in the same way that Mueller did with Michael Flynn or his son. Or I really don't think, when we talk about collusion, that Alexander Downer, who was instrumental in facilitating an FBI plant, maybe with some CIA cooperation from John Brennan, is a U.S. citizen. He's a foreign national, as is Christopher Steele. That is collusion. So what I'm getting at is that we have this sense that there's a united front. We're all going to go after Trump, but now these people are going to be testifying. Samantha Power is going to say, I didn't request those 260 unmaskings. That wasn't in my name. Maybe Susan Rice did it. No, you did it. I didn't do it. And we're going to have that back and forth with a larger and larger cast of characters, some of whom, like McCabe and James Baker, are already under criminal referral. And then the Democratic Party was sort of in suspended animation. So this was going on. They didn't feel they had to come up with an agenda, a menu, and all of a sudden it's gone. And Trump is going to be president till 2020, but in the process, they tried to outdo each other in revolutionary fervor. So we had 90% tax rate, wealth tax, Green Deal, reparations, infanticide as permissible abortion, abolish ICE, abolish college debt, abolish electoral. All these issues were not 51% issues. And then when you add to that toxic mix this anti-white male, sort of narrative that you don't want a white male, and then the polls show that your three leading candidates are in fact white males.
All fall into that category. That's a lot there, and there's a couple things I want to drill down on. You mentioned John Brennan and the possibility of his involvement in this, and I just want to point out that there's two main venues for the kind of turning of the tables that you talk about. One is the Inspector General Michael Horowitz of the Department of Justice, who is looking into this. The other is Lindsey Graham, now the head of the Senate Judiciary Committee, who is also overseeing an investigation into this whole side of the equation, because if it wasn't collusion, and you look at the dossier and you look at all of this extensive movement on all the parts of these people, the FISA applications, all of it, the George Papadopoulos issue, which you just brought up, why did all that happen? What started it? What was the catalyst to start all of that? And those are going to be the subjects of those two investigations. But John Brennan really stuck his neck out on this story. And here's an example of what he said right before the report or the Barr letter came out, and right after. Let's play.
I wouldn't be surprised if, for example, this week on Friday, not knowing anything about it, but Friday is the day that the grand jury indictments come down.
I don't know if I received bad information, but I think I suspected that there was more than there actually was.
I mean,
here we have the nation's former director of the CIA pontificating on his inside sources that were entirely bogus, and it puts into question his prior statements and analyses. But what we're going to see, I mean, he's somebody who said he didn't know anything about the dossier. He said that in May 2017, and we know that he talked to Harry Reid about it, and we know that he was of help in gathering foreign intelligence people to work with the FBI in terms of George Papadopoulos' interrogations and an informant that was put into the Trump campaigns. I think we've kind of woken up out of a slumber like Rip Van Winkle, and we're saying to each other, wow, we had a foreign national tampering with a U.S. campaign, and this continued first to abort the presidency, then the transition, the campaign, the transition, then the presidency, and we deceived a FISA court, and we lied under oath in sworn testimony to congressional committees, and we pulled over that rock. It's pretty ugly underneath.
Victor Davis Hanson, I encourage everybody to read this piece, The Tables Turn in the Russian Collusion Hunt. Thank you so much. Great to see you again tonight, Victor.
Thank you.
So coming up next, why 2020 is really still anybody's race among the Democrats, even with awkward encounters.
I know that this gives him pause. He is listening and weighing some of these stories. But I think he also knows his heart and knows what his intentions were. In fact, I'm certain he is preparing to run for president.
The Final Four is on Sirius XM.
The dream has become reality.
Michigan State, Virginia, Auburn, and Texas Tech remain from a field of 68. Starting Friday, Sirius XM Channel 84 is in Minneapolis, talking to college basketball's biggest names and breaking down the games.
Michigan State soaring to the Final Four.
For the first time ever, Auburn is going to the Final Four.
Hear every exciting second of Westwood One's Final Four coverage on Sirius XM Channel 84.
Attention investors. Stocks got you sideways? Worried about interest rates or recession? Not earning a consistent 18 to 21% on your money? Then diversify into Class A income properties for cash flow and equity profits. National Realty's Class A property fund includes only prime income producing new construction properties built far below market value. You're secured. You're diversified with income from multiple properties paying you. You're prioritizing cash flow ahead of us, and substantial bank-appraised equity on prime property backs you. National has a 12-year track record of proven success with over $800 million of property under management and hundreds of repeat accredited investors. Prime Brooklyn, Hoboken, West New York, and Delray Beach income properties support you. Stop losses, diversify from stocks, and get secured returns constantly. Call now for free information. Call 201-210-2727. That's 201-210-2727. An offer to buy or sell any security is only made by a private placement memorandum. Read the first and invest wisely. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. National is a real estate development firm. See us at nria.net.
Hi, I'm Lauren Hobart, president of Dick's Sporting Goods. I know personally how important sports are to our kids. That's why we've been working hard to make it easier for them to play. I invite you to come into our stores or shop us online. You won't believe all the changes that we've made at Dick's. We have more baseball and softball gear than ever before, an incredible selection of top running shoes, and we've got the hottest clubs in golf like the Callaway Epic Flash and TaylorMade M5 and M6. Stop into Dick's today to see all of the great changes we've made.
Did you know you can sell your life insurance policy, even a term policy, for an immediate cash payment? Call Coventry Direct at 1-800-481-6300 or visit CoventryDirect.com to learn more.
We thought we had planned carefully for our retirement.
But we quickly realized we needed a way to supplement our income.
Our friends sold their policy to help pay their medical bills. And that got me thinking, maybe selling our policy could help with our retirement.
So I did some research and called Coventry Direct.
We learned we could sell all of our policy or keep part of it with no future payments. Who knew? We sold our policy. Now we can relax and enjoy our retirement as we had planned.
If you have $100,000 or more of life insurance, you may qualify to sell your policy. Call Coventry Direct at 1-800-481-6300 or visit CoventryDirect.com. That's CoventryDirect.com. 1-800-481-6300. Coventry Direct, redefining insurance. Coventry Direct is a marketing company and will refer qualified policies to a licensed entity.
We got our W-2s from work, and it was kind of shocking.
It was like, how can we make this much and still have debt?
Right? Not to mention zero savings.
Anyway, it's a new year, so we decided to get our financial house in order.
Yep. And so we met with a financial advisor who dug into our expenses, and he found two things that were killing us. The first was unplanned expenses.
Broken water heater, leaky roof.
And high-interest credit cards we used to pay for them.
Yeah. He graphed out how getting a favorable fixed-rate personal loan could let us pay off our high-interest bills and start banking what we save.
He pointed us to bestegg.com. And he was right.
Yep.
Consumer Affairs gave Best Egg 5 stars for their super easy online loan app. It literally took us about a minute to apply with no impact to our credit score.
Yeah.
When it's time to get your bills under control and your finances back on track, visit bestegg.com/news. Upon approval, funds can be deposited in as little as one business day. bestegg.com/news. bestegg.com/news.
Fox News Channel on Sirius XM. Your favorite shows on Channel 114. Plus, every story, every 15 minutes. Fox News headlines 24/7, Channel 115.
Joe Biden, the Democrats' front runner at this point, is under attack. He hasn't even declared his candidacy yet, but these pictures were bound to be used by somebody sooner or later against him. At first, a spokesman for the former vice president blamed right-wing trolls for what we've seen the past few days for recirculating these pictures. But according to Axios, Biden insiders are hopping mad at the Bernie Sanders campaign. The Sanders campaign, for their part, says it absolutely did not come from them. Biden and Sanders are locked in a tight race for first place, and those are the others who come right after them. But it's worth remembering that those leads may be short-lived if history is any guide. Listen to the names that were all abuzz this same week back in 2015.
Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker is your new clubhouse leader in the Republican presidential sweepstakes. He tops the latest Fox News poll.
You see polling now that shows him ahead nationally, ahead in Iowa, and it was really that first speech that caught people's attention.
Let's take a look at some of these numbers, Chris. The first one that we have here is Florida. Hillary Clinton, Jeb Bush. She is now, for the first time, behind a Republican candidate in the state of Florida by 3%, and it's Jeb Bush. The next one is Ohio. The top person there is Rand Paul, interestingly. Well, that worked out, right? 75 days later, June 15, Donald Trump comes down the escalator at Trump Tower and changes pretty much everything. Joining me now, Antonio Ferrier, former staff director for the Senate Republican Communications Center and now partners at Definers Public Affairs. Ed Rendell, former Pennsylvania governor and former DNC chairman. Welcome to both of you. Great to have you both with us tonight. Ed, look into the future. You think about where we were then. This board is going to be probably thrown up like a chessboard into the air before this thing is through.
Sure. Polls at this stage of a presidential race are all about name recognition. Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders are the two best-known Democrats, so they're ahead in the polls, but they don't mean a thing.
But, Ed, do you think Biden survives? Do you think, a year from now we're still talking about Joe Biden in first place?
Because of the current allegations?
Yeah, because of anything. Just because.
Martha, there's out of every 100 Democrats, there's not one, maybe one, who would take this thing that he's charged with as a disqualification. Laura Ingraham
we said the same thing here last night. I'm not really talking about that, Ed. What I'm talking about is the way we watch these things go. Jeb Bush was in first place, Rand Paul, but then somebody comes out of nowhere, like Mayor Pete Buttigieg from South Bend, Indiana, and suddenly you've got a whole different story on your hands. Antonio, what do you think?
Sure.
Look, I have to say it is a wide open race, but if I was a Democrat, and Ed Rendell should understand, there are some real concerns right now if you are sort of a Democrat who wants to beat Donald Trump. And the fact that Bernie Sanders has raised $18.2 million means he is staying power. And if you want to beat Donald Trump, that's got to be worrying. And that matters. And Ed Rendell's right. This is early. It is a wide open contest, but fundraising matters in terms of being able to make it through the Democrat convention. And the more that Bernie is there, the more he's going to push the party further to the left, and the more of a challenge that's going to be for them to beat Donald Trump.
Well, with regard to the pictures that we showed, Nancy Pelosi was sort of sending a message to Joe Biden, in terms of how he should handle this if he wants to hold on to that front-runner status. Watch this.
I'm a member of the Straight Arm Club. I'm not the Straight Armor. And all of this. Just pretend you have a cold and I have a cold. But what I think that it's important for the vice president and others to understand is it isn't what you intended, it's how it was received.
Ed Rendell, what do you think?
I think the last time I saw Nancy, she kissed me. So,
she didn't straight arm you. She's not a member of the Straight Arm Club.
But I have been groped on my shoulders and hugged by Joe Biden. So let the record show that too.
Well, okay.
He didn't smell my hair because I don't have enough hair to smell.
Antonio, when you look at some of these other folks, Pete Buttigieg, we talked about earlier, and the money that's being raised, which you talked about, you got Bernie Sanders 18, Kamala Harris at 12, and we're actually just about to get new numbers on all of this. But all of this stuff about Joe Biden this week has some others, saying maybe there's a lane for me too. And Mike Bloomberg reportedly is saying, if Biden doesn't work out, he might reconsider.
I got to say that I don't think Mike Bloomberg has any real staying power here. This is the Democratic Party of 2019, where if you're a billionaire and you are successful in business, there is no place for you. This is the party of Bernie Sanders being pushed to the left by AOC and others. God bless Mike Bloomberg for his passion and commitment to America in a lot of ways, but I don't see that he has a lane here at all.
All right, guys, thank you very much. We'll have you back. We'll a long way to go in this process. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Good to see you, Antonia. Ed Rendell as well. President Trump on the stage right now at the Republican Congressional Committee spring dinner. We're going to have more on that coming up ahead, plus an intimate look at the matriarch of the Bush political dynasty and the true love that led to the longest presidential marriage in American history. Next.
I must say, I feel the same way about him today. So I felt that I can breathe now. Then I couldn't breathe when I was with him, but I can breathe when I'm with him now. But he's just as fabulous as he was then.
Faction Talk on Sirius XM with comedian Jim Norton and host Sam Roberts in the morning.
Listeners like being spoken down to.
Oh boy, you're going to enjoy this, baby. Sirius XM's Covino and Rich.
The conversation about butt cheeks? Such a buffoon.
Former pro skateboarder Jason Ellis.
I don't like to toot my own horn, but I'm probably the best there ever was, so...
If you don't like it, then it's probably your problem.
Comedian Ron Bennington.
I could live like a vampire. The only problem is I don't have the build for it.
Faction Talk is on Sirius XM, Channel 103.
An identity thief almost stole my friend's home. Bill O'Reilly here with a warning about home title theft. Your home title and mortgage are online. Thieves know it. With my friend, they found the title, forged documents, and created chaos. Once thieves get your home's title, they can take out loans and drain all your equity. You can literally lose your home. No identity theft protection. Homeowner's policy or bank protects you. Home Title Lock is the only company that protects your home from title thieves. For just pennies a day, Home Title Lock puts a barrier around your home's title and mortgage. The instant they detect tampering, they're on it. Here's what you should do. Go to HomeTitleLock.com and register your home to find out if your title has already been hacked. If you register your home now, you will receive a free title scan and report, $100 value, absolutely free. So please go to HomeTitleLock.com, HomeTitleLock.com.
Do you know the last time you replaced your toothbrush? I didn't. I also had no idea how long I was really brushing until I got a Quip electric toothbrush. Quip was designed to fix the habits most of us get wrong when brushing our teeth, with sensitive vibrations and a built-in timer that guide a 2-minute clean. To keep your bristles fresh, Quip delivers brush heads every 3 months for just $5 with free shipping. You can take Quip everywhere using its slim cover that mounts to mirrors at home and slides over your bristles when you're on the go. It's no wonder this electric toothbrush earned a seal of acceptance from the American Dental Association, was named one of Time's best inventions, and has thousands of 5-star reviews. Quip starts at $25 and is guaranteed for life with a refill plan. Sign up now at getquip.com/news, and you'll get your first refill pack free with a Quip electric toothbrush plan. That's your first refill pack free at getquip.com/news. getquip.com/news.
Here's something you probably don't know about erectile dysfunction. 52% of guys over 40 experience ED. And here's something you probably do know about erectile dysfunction. 0% of guys like talking about it. Fortunately, Roman is here to help. With Roman, you can go online and visit a one-stop shop where U.S. licensed physicians can diagnose ED. We'll then ship medication right from our pharmacy to your door. With Roman, you don't have to spend time in waiting rooms, deal with awkward face-to-face conversations, or make uncomfortable trips to the pharmacy. Just visit GetRoman.com, chat with a doctor, and get genuine medication delivered in discreet, unmarked packaging. And now that brand name ED meds have gone generic, it's more affordable than ever to get treatment. Start your free online visit at GetRoman.com/news. That's GetRoman.com/news. Additional terms, conditions, and eligibility requirements apply. Visit GetRoman.com for more details.
You're in good company at Crete Carrier. Take it from Dustin McFarland.
They care about their drivers. They care about family. Anytime I need to talk to somebody, they're quick to answer the phone. They're quick to get it solved, get it done. I never have a problem getting home. Even if there's not any loads, they find a way for me to get home somehow on time.
Call pound 250 on your mobile phone, keyword Crete, to speak with a recruiter, or visit CreteCarrier.com.
Barbara Bush was a force in her family and in politics, wife of a president and mother of a president. Only Abigail Adams could say the same. She had a razor-sharp wit and a take-no-prisoners loyalty, and that began with the man she loved.
You also say, I married the first man I ever kissed. When I tell this to my children, they just about throw up.
Right. They say that couldn't be true. I say, well, it is true. First person actually kissed me in public. It wasn't even dramatic, exciting, but I almost fainted. I was so excited.
And that was it?
That was it. For me.
That's the guy.
Mm-hmm. And still.
Yeah.
I just can't tell you how much I love him.
I love that. Her life, the subject of The Matriarch, Barbara Bush, and the Making of an American Dynasty, out today. Author Susan Page joins me now. She is also USA Today's Washington Bureau Chief, of course, and you see her all the time on Special Reports. Susan, great to see you.
It's so good to
have
be
you here. For any reporter to, hear that you had all this time with her in the last 6 months of her life, and she really shared so many intimate details and brand new stories that no one had ever heard before. What was that like for you?
It was really a privilege. And when I started the book, I didn't know whether she'd cooperate or not. And she agreed to one interview, and then a second, and then a third, and 5 in all. And in fact, we had scheduled a 6th. I had flown to Texas for the 6th interview. She fell the night before. She went to the hospital, never recovered. But 5 interviews and access to her personal diaries, which was just an extraordinary gift to someone who wanted some insight into her life and her time.
Did she write in those diaries every day? What kind of diarist was she?
Well, sometimes she would be writing every day and sometimes every week, and then there'd be periods where she wrote nothing at all. But the diaries had never been examined by anyone except John Meacham, who wrote the great biography of George H.W. Bush. So they hadn't been archived. So I'd open them up, the pages would be stuck together, they'd be put in the wrong order. I'd open up, I'd find a letter she had written to herself. It was the kind of thing that you wish for when you're doing a book.
Absolutely, you just get lost digging into it, and some juicy stories in there. There's the two of you together during one of the interviews. She talked about her contentious relationship with Nancy Reagan. She crossed the Bushes off the list for the party, as you say, that was the event of that time. Princess Diana and Charles coming to the White House. She crossed off the Bushes?
So I'd heard that she had crossed off the Bushes, and Mrs. Bush was quite clear that they had not been invited to this. But then I had a researcher go and find the guest list in the Reagan Library archives, where you see the President and Mrs. Reagan, the second line, Vice President and Mrs. Bush, crossed out, and an aide to someone who knows said that Mike Deaver called the First Lady, called Nancy Reagan, and said, "You can't not invite the Vice President
of the United States."
And she said, "Watch me."
Why? Why did she dislike her so much?
I'm sure Nancy Reagan has a story about that. I'm sure she has her own point of view. But from Barbara Bush's point of view, Nancy Reagan just disliked her from the get-go. They were almost exactly the same age. They went to the same college, but they were so different in their priorities and their character.
That's it. There was, I find that just incredible, and that's what you think was at the root of this animosity, which is,
they also, their husbands, they both adored their husbands, and their husbands ran against each other.
My husband's better than your husband. And I love my husband more than you love yours.
There was a little bit of that.
I bet you're right. You also talk about a deep depression that she suffered, that she was open about with you.
In 1976, her husband went to head the CIA, a job she had said, "Do not take that job. That job will be political poison." Suddenly, he couldn't share things with her. She was going through menopause. She had an empty nest at home. Her kids were all away at school or were young adults growing up. And she fell into a depression so dark that she told me she would have to pull off the side of the road because she had this urge to plow her car into a tree or to steer her car into the path of an oncoming car, to kill herself. And that to not do that, she would stop the car and wait for the impulse to pass.
Amazing. And she gave a lot of advice to her son, and at one point he said, "That's enough, Mom."
On the Iraq War, President Bush 41 had said he wouldn't meddle in Bush 43's administration, and mostly he didn't. Barbara Bush made no such promise to her son. And she spoke up, and she spoke up about the Iraq War. She thought he was making a mistake. She thought it was a mistake to listen to the Vice President, the Defense Secretary. And George W. Bush finally said, "Look, I'm the president, and you have to just trust me on what I'm doing." And she backed off some.
I got to go, but just very quickly, she said she would not consider herself a Republican at the end of her life.
It's extraordinary. A woman who'd been the face of the Republican Party for decades. Yeah, that's what she said. She said
because of
President Trump.
Yeah. Susan Page, fascinating book. I got somewhat into it today in my office. I can't wait to read the rest. It's a beautiful book and a lot of great stuff in there. So thank you so much for sharing it with us, Susan Page. So coming up next, breaking news: a woman with 2 Chinese passports and a device containing malicious malware somehow got behind the gates at Mar-a-Lago while the president was close by. Coming up next.
New beginnings are on the way. A resurrection is in your future.
This spring, SiriusXM's Joel Osteen Radio inspires you to bloom.
New growth is coming your way. New opportunities, new friendships, new levels of confidence, supernatural breakthrough.
believe.
You are going to blossom into the fullness of what God has created you to be.
Joel Osteen Radio, Sirius XM 128, or listen on demand, online or on the app.
Hi, Jeff Harold, owner of Club Glove, the leaders in travel gear for professional golf. Amazing input on how to design long-lasting and, best of all, easy-to-transport luggage. Traveling carry-on only is great, but at times we have to travel with multiple luggage pieces. The TRS, or Train Reaction System, is a patented luggage connection system that can combine 2, 3, or even 4-wheeled pieces into a stable, uniform, easy-to-move luggage train. Never again will you have to hand out tips, beg for help, or go searching for an airport cart to transport your luggage. If frequent travel is a part of your business or personal life, you have got to go to TRSballistic.com and see how this amazing luggage works. Also, use the code USA and get 20% off your TRS Ballistic luggage order. It's made in the USA and it's as tough as the country it's built in. That's TRSballistic.com and the code USA to experience the new standard in American-made luggage.
Guys, you spend 90% of your day in underwear. It's literally the foundation of your wardrobe. And the more comfortable you are at your foundation, the more confident you will be everywhere else. Hi, I'm Brian Berger, founder of Mack Weldon. 6 years ago, I set out to reinvent men's basics. We started by making underwear that is so comfortable, it's like nothing you've ever worn before. No more feeling sweaty, rolling waistbands, or legs that ride up. We use top-shelf materials like Pima cotton and are the first to use real silver woven into the fabric for its natural anti-odor properties. Plus, it keeps you cool all day. Hundreds of thousands of guys wear Mack Weldon, and we're proud to be called the Apple of underwear. There's no risk to try them on. If you don't love your first pair, it's on us. Get 20% off your first order at MackWeldon.com, promo code Fox News. But only to the end of the month. That's 20% off at MackWeldon.com, promo code Fox News. MackWeldon.com, promo code Fox News.
Owner-operators, stop chasing freight on the spot market and contract with a company known for a consistent base of nationwide freight. This is Craig Harper, Chief Operations Officer at J.B. Hunt. Owner-operators for J.B. Hunt enjoy access to our online load board and the freedom to choose loads. Up-to-date lane and rate visibility are at your fingertips, allowing you to plan routes that make sense for your business. For contracting details, visit drivejbhunt.com. That's drivejbhunt.com.
Confused by all the weight loss plans out there? You're not alone. Before discovering Noom, I tried almost everything to lose weight. I changed diets, I changed exercises, I even changed personal trainers. But my mind. Based in psychology, Noom uses small goals to help change the habits that have been holding you back. So you not only lose the weight, you learn how to keep it off. Start changing your mind, and the rest will follow. Visit Noom.com. That's Noom.com today and lose the weight for good.
America's #1 cable news network. This is Fox News on Sirius XM, channel 114.
Pretty shocking story out of Florida tonight. A Chinese national illegally entered Mar-a-Lago and has now been arrested. Authorities say she made it in lying to the Secret Service. When she was caught, she had several suspicious devices on her. Trace Gallagher has been looking into this breaking news tonight from our West Coast newsroom. Good evening, Trace.
Good evening, Martha. The woman is 32-year-old Yujing Zhang. The criminal complaint says that she showed a Secret Service agent 2 Chinese passports and said she wanted to go to the pool. A Mar-a-Lago club manager thought she was related to a member and allowed her into the main reception area. But when another Secret Service agent approached her, Zhang apparently changed her story, saying she had traveled from Shanghai to attend a United Nations friendship event and that somebody on Chinese social media told her to attend the event and speak with a member of President Trump's family about Chinese-American economic relations. When she was told there was no such event, she apparently got verbally abusive and was escorted off the property and taken into custody. Now, court documents say Zhang was carrying 4 cell phones, a laptop computer, an external hard drive, and a thumb drive containing computer malware. That's short for malicious software, often used to steal, encrypt, or delete sensitive data. There is no evidence she she had any nefarious motive, but experts say she did have the tools to target certain electronic devices. We should point out when Zhang was at Mar-a-Lago, the president was off property playing golf at his nearby country club. Separately, the Miami Herald is reporting the trespasser may have been trying to attend an event that was advertised on Cindy Yang's website. Yang, you'll recall, is the owner of that South Florida massage parlor where New England Patriots owner Bob Kraft was charged with soliciting prostitution. Cindy Yang's website also allegedly offered Chinese business leaders access to Mar-a-Lago where they could mingle with the president. So far, investigators have made zero connection between Cindy Yang and the woman who tried to get in to Mar-a-Lago.
That is unbelievable. Trace, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, coming up, a live look at President Trump addressing the National Republican Congressional Committee in Washington, what he just said about the crisis at the border and whether or not he's going to shut it down. Coming up next. Oh, we talked about Joe Biden, too, after this.
And you people are pros, most of you, not all of you.
A Howard Schultz Town Hall. The former Starbucks CEO speaks out on a potential presidential run and delivers his strategy for America's most pressing issues. Thursday, Fred and Martha anchor live from Kansas City, Missouri. Watch America's election headquarters, Town Hall with Howard Schultz.
Hi, this is former Yankee Steve Sachs, and you can support cancer research and experience Yankee Stadium like never before on Saturday, May 11th. Sign up today for the Runyon 5K, a unique run-walk that uses the stadium as its course. Navigate the concourses, ramps, and stairs, and take your own victory laps around the field. All proceeds will support the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation. To register, visit runyon5k.org.
Hi, I'm Lauren Hobart, president of Dick's Sporting Goods. I know personally how important sports are to our kids. That's why we've been working hard to make it easier for them to play. I invite you to come into our stores or shop us online. You won't believe all the changes that we've made at Dick's. We have more baseball and softball gear than ever before, an incredible selection of top running shoes, and we've got the hottest clubs in golf like the Callaway Epic Flash and TaylorMade M5 and M6. Stop into Dick's today to see all of the great changes we've made.
We got our W-2s from work, and it was kind of shocking.
It was like, how can we make this much and still have debt?
Right? Not to mention zero savings.
Anyway, it's a new year, so we decided to get our financial house in order.
Yep. And so we met with a financial advisor who dug into our expenses, and he found two things that were killing us. The first was unplanned expenses.
Broken water heater, leaky roof.
And high-interest credit cards we used to pay for them.
Yeah. He graphed out how getting a favorable fixed-rate personal loan could let us pay off our high-interest bills and start banking what we save.
He pointed us to bestegg.com. And he was right.
Yep.
Consumer Affairs gave Best Egg 5 stars for their super easy online loan app. It literally took us about a minute to apply with no impact to our credit score.
Yeah.
When it's time to get your bills under control and your finances back on track, visit bestegg.com/news. Upon approval, funds can be deposited in as little as one business day. bestegg.com/news. bestegg.com/news.
Did you know you can sell your life insurance policy, even a term policy, for an immediate cash payment? Call Coventry Direct at 1-800-481-6300 or visit coventrydirect.com to learn more.
We thought we had planned carefully for our retirement,
but we quickly realized we needed a way to supplement our income.
Our friends sold their policy to help pay their medical bills. And that got me thinking, maybe selling our policy could help with our retirement.
So I did some research and called Coventry Direct.
We learned we could sell all of our policy or keep part of it with no future payments. Who knew? We sold our policy. Now we can relax and enjoy our retirement as we had planned.
If you have $100,000 or more of life insurance, you may qualify to sell your policy. Call Coventry Direct at 1-800-481-6300 or visit coventrydirect.com. That's coventrydirect.com. 1-800-481-6300. Coventry Direct, redefining insurance. Coventry Direct is a marketing company and will refer qualified policies to a licensed entity.
Hey, it's Dean Sharp, the House Whisperer. So let's talk about your home water system. Your under-sink water filter is obsolete, and water softener technology is 100 years old. Should you replace them? Yes. But with what? A whole house water treatment system by Life Source Water. Imagine clean, safe water from every faucet in the entire house. You drink it, you bathe in it, and best of all, you get a Life Source water system, and then you forget about it. Because there's no more chlorine or chloramines. It reduces hard water scale. No salt to add, no filters to change, no maintenance treatments of any kind, and all for less than buying bottled water. LifeSource has been a trusted manufacturer of whole house water systems for over 35 years. All of their products are made and manufactured in the USA. Get a LifeSource whole house water system and solve your water problems once and for all. Call 1-800-334-5009, 1-800-334-5009. Call now and receive a factory rebate exclusively for SiriusXM listeners. That's 1-800-334-5009 or go to lifesourcewater.com.
You helped us on the border, which turned out that you're right on that one. That was when it was a little bit less in vogue than it is today. Now everybody's saying, I told you there was an emergency.
As President Trump addressing the crisis at the border just moments ago, we have now learned that DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen will be visiting the El Paso area tomorrow, as even the former Homeland Security Secretary says that it is not, quote, a manufactured crisis. He said it's a very real crisis at the border. The latest numbers show more than 100,000 people were apprehended coming across the border last month. On one day, they had more than 4,000 people, putting the United States on track for 1 million apprehensions at the southern border by the end of the year. That puts us back in the territory of the highest levels that we have seen in recent years, which has my next guest asking, is there any number of illegal border crossings into the United States that would strike Democrats as an emergency, writes Byron Yorf, chief political correspondent for the Washington Examiner and a Fox News contributor. Byron, good to see you tonight. Is the president right about his assessment there that Democrats who said for so long that the president was making it all up, that the caravan thing was just a big joke, that it was all to instill fear in Americans around the time of the election, are they starting to turn the tide at all on their perspective here?
Well, they're certainly under pressure from reality here. Remember, we've had the president saying for a long time, it's an emergency, and Democrats saying, no, it's not. It's a fake emergency. It's a phony crisis. It's a manufactured crisis. And the reason that the Democrats gave was they say the number of people crossing illegally, people who are caught crossing illegally, today is far less than it was in the mid-2000s. Back then, as you mentioned, there were 1 million, 1 million, 2 people being apprehended crossing the border illegally every year. The problem now for the Democratic argument is, given that number you just mentioned in March, more than 100,000 apprehensions, it appears that the number of people crossing illegally is going back. It's nearly back up to where it was in those bad old days in the mid-2000s.
Yeah. The president's done a few things to try to stem this tide. He did the national emergency at the border. And now he's talking about shutting the border down to send a message to Mexico that if they don't help us with this situation, just think about the fact that 1 million people could cross in the course of a year, and that's considered somewhat normal by historical standards. I think it's pretty shocking in and of itself. But what do you think about this move to potentially shut the border down to stem the crisis?
Well, it's very difficult. We've seen a couple of reasons given for it. One, to try to pressure Mexico, as you just mentioned, to do something. The other is to free up people who, Border Patrol staff who are working the ports of entry, to actually go out in between the ports of entry where people are crossing illegally. But the big issue here is that the nature of the flow of illegal crossers